Veganism has nothing to do with health or nutrition. It's not a diet. It's an ethical belief. It's the belief that we should seek to exclude as far as possible and practicable all forms of exploitation and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose.
Do you know what vole damage is?
So, no, you clearly weren't vegan because you didn't hold these beliefs. You were only following a plant-based diet because you thought it was ideal for health. That's not veganism.
Jamie came in from the garden the other day and she said, all of our vegetable beds are riddled with voles. And I said, honey, what's a vole?
So John, clearly you were never vegan. Stop making up this lie. Somebody who was vegan and actually held those ethical beliefs wouldn't go back to murdering animals.
Hey, it's Jeff here. I'm just out sitting in my garden looking at my tomatoes and my tomatillos that are coming up. Apparently there's an animal called a vole.
When they've been brought up eating meat, they've essentially been brainwashed into a culture that believes that eating meat is fine. It's fine to kill animals just for taste pleasure.
I'm out here in my garden. I love the summertime when I can grow and harvest my own food. Behind me is over 30 varieties of heirloom tomato plants. I have all kinds of vegetables. We're getting new food every day. And recently I noticed rodents are attacking my cucumbers.
And you're also just giving meat-eating, killing animals for no justifiable reason a pass, saying it's morally acceptable just because everyone else does it.
Right here I have an Armenian cucumber. It has damage. I'll zoom in and show you what they're doing. You can see those teeth marks from the rodent going down just like an ear of corn. They're doing way too much damage, so let's go trap them.
In one breath he claimed, I was vegan, I thought it was morally wrong to needlessly just murder animals. And then in the next breath he claimed, yeah, while I was vegan, I also thought it was fine for everyone else to murder animals.
It's really simple. The idea is you want to funnel the voles in a certain path and then trap them with these Victor snap traps with the wide pedal. I'm not going to use any bait, just create an area where they have to step on the pedal and get caught.
People made comments like this saying, okay, so are you saying wife beating is morally acceptable if everyone else does it? Then John said, oh, yeah, beating your wife is fine.
It's now the next day and it's time to check our traps. We'll pull up the cover. That is exactly what I wanted to see. Each trap has a vole in it.
Then he second-guessed himself and then said, oh, no, wait, is wife beating okay? No, wife beating has to be okay. I mean, I do it.
Out in the garden area today, I wanted to do a quick video on how to get rid of voles.
So, yeah, blows my mind.
Have you planted hostas, or other plants for that matter, only to find them gone and not really knowing why, or finding all the leaves laying on the ground, picking them up, and there's no roots? The problem is moles and voles.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't listen to your advice when it comes to morality.
There's no need to call an expensive pest control company. This is vole control that you can do.
So, John, this is just a belief you have. You have no evidence for this, and you're using this ridiculous belief to justify murder.
Hi, welcome to Ned's Garden. Today we're going to talk about the #1 nuisance in my garden, which is voles, or field mice. It's the same animal.
So just because somebody has this belief that they need to murder albino people for ideal health and prosperity, does that make it morally acceptable to murder albino people?
Doing another video on vole trapping and how to successfully actually catch the voles. These guys are tricky, as I said in the last video. They tend to cover up holes pretty much after they're done either using them or sensing that there's traps around them. But the easiest way to do the trapping is, like I said before, use the mouse traps with peanut butter on them.
What is the standard for health that you're talking about where it is justifiable to commit murder?
Planting bulbs can be quite the gamble. These little things are like candy to a vole. They love to come and gobble up the roots of these guys and make it so you won't see anything next spring. But don't worry, there's a better way.
Is that justifiable to commit murder just because, oh yeah, I have a few pimples on my face, I'm going to go murder something so that, the pimples clear up?
Welcome back to the Down East Gardener. Voles, have they got your garden? Are they holding your garden hostage? Because voles are one of the worst creatures we have in the garden. They eat daylilies, they eat hostas, they eat all sorts of stuff. And for years, there hadn't been a solution to the vole problem.
This is obviously nonsense. You can't justify murder because you have the personal belief that if you murder something, it will somehow benefit you personally.
Let's talk about voles.
Voles.
Because one of the questions that we get at the office a lot is about voles.
And then you wonder why people are calling you an animal abuser.
It's one of the few critters that I talk about. I use this Prevention and Control of Wildlife Damage book, but it's one of the few critters I talk about where it says shooting is not practical or effective. They're too small, they're hard to hit, and they stay underground most of the time. But very quickly, I'm going to show you that there are a couple of toxicants that are listed. So using rodenticides are probably one of the most effective means of controlling these, and there are a couple of them out there, zinc phosphide, and then the anticoagulant rodenticides are a little slower acting, but they do a pretty good job. And even snap trap, mouse trap, if you bait it with peanut butter or something like that, you know.
It's because that's what you are, John. You are murdering animals just because you think, oh yeah, it'll help my pimples clear up.
Mr. D, can you do us a favor? Can you explain anticoagulant?
An anticoagulant is a product that when they ingest it, it will cause them to internally bleed themselves to death.
Yeah, John, the stupid reasoning that you've come up with, it could justify anything. It could justify murdering albino people. It could justify you beating your wife, as you've already mentioned. It could justify a Holocaust, slavery, rape. You could justify anything with this reasoning.
Today we're going to be talking about moles, voles, and gophers. And we're going to be discussing how to actually get the problem under control in your gardens. And the ways we're going to learn how to actually get the problems under control is, one of them is going to be discussing how to repel them. Another one's going to discuss how to trap them. And the third one is going to be discussing poisons as well.
You could justify anything with this reasoning. The issue here isn't that morality is subjective. The issue is that your moral beliefs are self-contradictory. You can't claim that murder is wrong and then at the same time claim that murder is okay.
But I noticed a problem a while back, and I kind of ignored it and probably shouldn't have. And it's moles. I've got moles carrying me off in here.
What is the trait difference between a human and an animal that justifies murdering an animal? And if you were to find a human being lacking that trait, you'd also have to be in favor of murdering that human being to be logically consistent. I know you can't do that. You are clearly not smart enough, and the only reason you have gone back to eating meat is because you are a selfish, awful person who cares more about the pimples on his face than the life of a sentient being.
The moles are back, and here's what you can do to get rid of them once and for all. First, you take your finger and you dig down until you feel the mole tunnel down there. Then what you want to do is take a piece of fruity flavored gum and you bust it up in nice little bite-sized chunks. And the moles are supposed to think those are grubs, and that's what they like to eat. Drop a few in their hole, and then we'll just close it right up. This one we'll put some more fruity flavored gum in. What the gum does is they eat that, and it chokes them to death.
Well, John, for human survival in modern times, eating a plant-based diet is ideal.
For large moles, you can use this choker trap. The way this works is you bury their hoops along the mole's tunnel, and when the mole comes through, it'll hit this little trigger device, and that will trigger the spring, and the hoops will come up and strangle the mole.
No, John, not everyone is as ignorant and idiotic as you, and the truth is that you are an awful, selfish person who murders animals for no justifiable reason.
A couple weeks ago, I posted a video out here in the high tunnel about moles. I've struggled with moles for a long time. I've tried a lot of different things to get rid of them.
No, John, your beliefs are stupid and shameful, and they should be ridiculed, and I think you know this.
Today we're going to talk about a pesky little creature and how to get rid of them. Moles. I've been fighting these creatures for 40 years, and for many, many years I just really didn't know, I didn't have a good strategy of how to get rid of them. I used to have a piece of poly for my lawnmower and asphyxiate them with carbon monoxide, and I've trapped them, I've I've tried to drown them. I've tried all kind of different strategies.
You have your spring load trap plate right there, so when the ground comes up from the mole digging underneath it, it'll actually trigger it. It doesn't take a lot of force. It's pretty easy to do. Like I said, the dirt's going to come up and boom, down like that. So it's real quick. You want to work it into the ground, let it set off a couple of times. It's not going to deter the mole from going into it. It's just going to help them kind of re-dig through that tunnel after you press it down and work it like that.
So yeah, blows my mind.